friends, it's me, Kat. May the 4th be with you today. It is May the 4th. This is episode 14. And I guess we'll just go right into other things. Oh, welcome, new friends and whole friends. I hope you're having a good week. Making progress. You can find me on Ravelry as Kat Straight and on Board Game Geek as Maureen Ace Sedai. Really the only two places I visit. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, join the Ravelry group. We have one, Kat's Corner. I say this is Kat's Corner. I don't even remember. This is Kat's Corner. Glad you're here with us today. But join the Ravelry group. We have a craft along for the Cosmos. We've already had 2 finished objects in the thread, so that's pretty awesome. We also have a 50-member giveaway once we hit 50 members. I think we're almost at 30 now, so we're almost there. We're getting close. We'll be drawing for that soon. Also, if you are viewing this from YouTube, check the link down there for show notes and links to the group and all that fun stuff. Last week I attempted to do video editing, so if you're from YouTube and did not click the link to check out the show notes, the pictures I just posted on the blog instead of it wasn't saving. I thought I did it right and I clicked save and it said I couldn't save it. So more playing around with that is required. So for the 50-member giveaway, once we hit 50 members, we will do a drawing. And that random person will receive a hand card stamp, which looks like that. And then that person will get to pick a friend who is in the Ravelry group for this stamp. Focus. That's close enough, I guess. And it looks like that one. So that is that one. So all you have to do is be a member, and when I draw for it, be paying attention and you can win. I'm just going to draw from the people in the group. Let's see, the Cosmos craft along. You can post in the chatter thread. You know, there's actually Amanda Bug posted a link to some really awesome Cosmo pictures, so I highly suggest checking those out. They are really pretty. She found a link to it somewheres, and it made me want to go to outer space so bad because they're so pretty. So check out the chatter thread. Anything to do with it, you know, talk, chat. We're having fun. Not too chatty. We're not too chatty, I guess. It's mainly probably because I'm not very good at written forms of forums and stuff. I'm better at just chit-chatting with you. Then we also have a finished objects thread. No chatter in there. So post your finished objects there, and it runs. Your project had to have started April 1st, sometime between April 1st and finished by June the 31st, I think it is. 30th, 31st, something, whichever one that is. I'm really bad at remembering the last day of the month. But the last day of June. I will close that probably right before I go to bed. So sometime between 9, I'll close it the next morning when I wake up. That way I just make sure it gives everyone a chance to finish up. It just has to be kind of Cosmo related. I'm pretty open. I'm trying to leave it as open as possible. so that more people will participate. There will be a prize drawing for that, and I'll randomly pick from the finished objects thread, and that person will receive a giftable pattern off of Ravelry from $10 and under. And then if I can get it together, it'll also be a little extra surprise going to them through the mail. So I gotta work on that. I've been trying to get other things accomplished, so that I haven't gotten that done. But I'm not going to show it to you anyways because it's a surprise. Let's see. So I think that's pretty much it about that. Just have fun with it. So let's just get right into things happening in my life, if you want to know, if you care at all. Gardening still. The husband's actually outside right now, finishing up planting all the plants in the vegetable garden, and then he went and bought some more plants for the flower garden, the front flower garden. And I don't know if he's trying to make the tomato cages now, or if he's going to wait a while, because our tomato plants are still like, I don't know, they're small still, because we started them from seed. Got the blueberries covered so that the birds won't get those. You can check out the pics that I posted. We have all kinds of bird nests all over the place. Yeah, pretty cool, I guess. I want my veggies. I want my fresh veggies. They always taste so good. Still trying to figure out where we're going to put the pumpkin and the butternut squash and stuff like that. I think the husband decided that we weren't going to do cantaloupe this year. But that could have easily changed, because I think our neighbor planted a bunch of cantaloupe, and she has some extras whenever she goes to thin them out. So we may get a couple from that. Who knows? I don't think he's putting them in the vegetable garden this year. I think he's wanting to put it somewhere else. So we'll see. The cat escaped from the house. That was fun. We left the door open just a tad bit too long, and she dashed out. So we had to capture her and give her flea treatment, even though she was only outside for like maybe 5-10 minutes, but just in case, because I don't want fleas in my house. That's why I have an indoor cat, because I don't want fleas. So that was fun. I think that's pretty much it. I don't really think we had all. Oh, my grandma came into town. She came in last weekend, and so I've gotten to see her twice last week, and I'll probably see her a couple times this week. We're having a big family get together on Saturday, so that everyone can get to see her. And also Sunday's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. I may not record next week, because we'll see. It may be like maybe Monday or Tuesday. Or I might just skip, because I don't really have that much knitting and crafting stuff going on right now. Just finished a big project, which I'll be sharing with you in a little bit. So there's not much going on right now in that aspect. So I may skip a week so I can get some more stuff done, so I can have some stuff to show you. And I can also enjoy my Mother's Day. So I hope you enjoy your Mother's Day too, if I don't get to talk to you before then. So that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I am still without a wash machine too. Maybe I can ask for that for my Mother's Day present. I want a wash machine fixed. Like that's gonna happen. I think my husband bought me a bunch of Smurfs, because he went to Toys R Us a couple weeks ago and was buying some stuff for Linus that was on clearance. And then he goes, oh, and I'm buying you a bunch of stuff too. So I need you to come bring the car so I can have you bring everything home. Because he biked over there with Linus. So I have a feeling if it's not for Mother's Day, it's for my birthday or for Christmas. So then he's going to be holding on to that for a long time because all that happens in December. So we'll see. I usually get like some sort of a cool picture frame or something. I'm making like a huge collage on one of our walls in the living room, and I just went like almost the entire wall full of picture frames, kind of like the old Victorian, well, big estate houses and stuff that you see, and they're like covered, the walls covered in paintings and stuff. Well, I want it covered in family pictures and things like that. So that's my plan. It's very slow going. I usually only get a picture frame for Mother's Day, so I keep thinking my shirt is crooked because the diagonals are diagonal. So I keep thinking my shirt's crooked. So if I'm playing with my shirt all the time, it's because I keep thinking it's crooked right now. So that's pretty much it. So let's get into all the fun crafty stuff, shall we? I'll show you what I was working on pretty much the entire week. And finished. So I have a finished object. A bow. And that was probably backwards. That's okay. Eventually I'll come up with some really cute names for the segments. Been trying to think of like Star Trek related things, but I'm like, beam me up, Scotty. How do I work that in? I'm dork. It's okay. But my one finished object are my Star Trek socks for my husband. I have 2 finished socks. Look at there. I did them 2 at a time. Magic looped toe up. I used the Megan Williams OMG heel pattern up to the heel, and then I think it's Zoe Schifly, like that. It'll be in the notes if you click on the link. Yeah, the notes. I'll link it. And it's the Star Trek repeat pattern. So did that. Trying to remember what else I'm supposed to say about it. I just had a brain, and everything just flew out of my head. Oh, they're not blocked yet. I finished them last night. Had my husband try them on this morning. They fit very well, he said. That's why they're kind of all bunchy. You see the bunchiness? The yarn I used was Black Trillium and the Merlon base, which was, now I gotta look, because now I don't remember. Because I picked up the bag and everything already. It is okay, it doesn't give me the percentage. I think, oh right, here it is. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It was 425 yards. The colorway was Star. Screwed up some. And it's really hard to see. Well, actually, because of the colorway I used. But the little Star Trek emblem is right there, and the pearl bumps. And this goes all the way up and all the way around. All the way around. I did a different color heel because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of this yarn as possible so I can make it as tall as I could. I think it's a little bit shorter than the Golly socks I made for Nate, my husband. A little bit shorter, but they're the same size this time. They match. Did I say the colorway was star? I think it did. Okay. No idea what this colorway is. This was in a random bag of fingering weight yarns. But it was close enough to match. And then I realized after I finished this last night and I was sewing in the ends this morning, I still had some of the bigger on the inside, Lorna's Laces, bigger on the inside yarn left over, like a whole lot, because I'm planning on using some of it for me. And that would have been that would have looked, I think, a lot better, but I didn't think about using that until everything was finished. But this was my contribution to the Cosmos Craft Along. I like this sock better, just in case you wonder, because it got that cool little stripy thing going on. I think I used a size 1 circular needle, 40 inches long, and they were the Addi sock rockets that I used. So I have a finished object. A real finished object. I had too many big projects going on at once. Don't like that. But now that I'm finished this, I can start another project. So I'm excited. So I have that finished. And my husband is already ready to wear it. So what am I working on? I still have not touched the Stegi. Not at all. So 2 weeks I have not touched it, so I'm not going to show it to you. You can look at the pattern page. I'll link it in as works in progress because I am working on it, even though I haven't touched it in 2 weeks, but I'll be starting to work on it again soon. I'd like to start working on the first arm sleeve this week at some point in time. This is my star motif pullover, and it really didn't see all that much work. I did like 2 rows along the waistband because I wanted to finish those socks so I can start another sock project. And I only have 1 pair of size 1s. So, well, I shouldn't say that. I think I have, maybe I have 9-inch circs. Oh, dude, if I have 9-inch circs, that would have, oh, that might work really well with what I'm going to do next. I might have to look into that. I might have to go and look. But I only got like 2 rows, so I'm not really going to talk about it all that much. The yarn I'm using is Serendipity Tweed by Brown Sheep Company in the striped coral reef colorway. And the pattern is the Star Motif Pullover by Christian Amadal. And it's looking like this. So, 2 rows, very insignificant. So my plan is to start on a sleeve for the Stegi this week and finish this waistband, and hopefully maybe cast on the collar. That's my plan for this week with those 2 projects. What else am I working on? I've done a couple more squares in my sock blanket. I'm actually currently working on one right now, and I have all kinds of ends because I haven't read the tutorial yet on what to do about all the ends. So right now I'm just kind of threading them along the back side whenever I'm picking up stitches. But I've actually started to put some of it together. So last week I just had this square and this square. So now I have these 2 squares, which no idea what they are, from that mystery bag of fingering weights. And then I have this square, which is some of the yarn that I finished last week that I spun up. It's just not a fingering weight yarn, but I didn't care. It's bigger, a little bit bigger than the rest of them, but I don't really care. So this, I called it my New Orleans Confetti, I think, or something like that. That's this one. And I am currently working on a square with some of the leftover Black Trillium from Nate's Star Trek sock. I just started it like maybe 10 minutes before I decided it was time to put the sun down for a nap. So I didn't get very far. And then I did this square here, which is a little bit of hand spun yarn, which I think I showed y'all the single plies last week. This was the bluish green tealy colors and the gray. I think I had both of those. Single plied. So that I technically have that is finished now, which I'll show you the little ball that I have left. So that's what I've done so far on that. In the middle of last week, I came to the conclusion that I want to try and get one square done a day until I run out of fingering weight yarn that I can use. So that's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little. So that's pretty good. That's about on track, since I probably decided to start that goal like Wednesday or Thursday. And then I did like 2 or 3 here and there. I might have some random yarn clung to it. Okay. So I have that. So what else am I going to be working on? I am, now that I have my size 1s back, which if I would have thought about it, I think I do have size 1 9-inch circs. But I am going to be starting to work on the Josh Ricks Mystic Spiral socks. He is having, let's get back, the Mystic May knit along, which is what he's calling it. So you do the Mystic Spiral socks in the month of May. And I am using Vice yarns. Is it going to focus at all? Not really getting a good shot. I have a pretty good picture of it on my stash page. That's pretty good. It's the Blurred Lines and Sock Weight, which is 80-20, 80-20, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I got the Blurred Lines sock weight, which she divided it into two mini skeins, mini cakes, whatever you want to call it. So that each color repeat is going to be exactly the same. So as long as I start them in the exact same place, they should be exact matching socks. So that's very exciting. This is what I'm using. There is no colorway that I can see. That's what I'm using, and I think it's going to be pretty. So I'm hoping to cast that on sometime tonight. I want to get a couple rows of my waistband worked on, finish that blanket square, and then cast these on tonight. And then that's that plan. And what else? There was something else. I was planning to do something else, but I don't remember. Oh, and I'm probably going to start, even though it's going to be 4 projects technically that I'll be working on, because I'm not really counting the blanket as something I'm working on. But I'll have 3: the pullover, the Steggy jacket, and then the socks. But since those are still pretty decent sized projects for me, I might try, there's a hat pattern that I'm going to be making for my mom and my sister for Christmas, so I may start to work on that sometime this week too. That's the Cloche Divine, I think. So I may start working on that. It's going to be my next project anyways, no matter what I finish, so I might just start it before I finish one of the other projects. So you want to see what I've been spinning? I have a couple finished little mini skeins. This is the blue and the gray. And that's a really decent size, fairly, got a little bit bigger there. But I actually did pretty good at getting the majority of this fairly consistent, like not too many big poofy poofs. But if you can you see that? Not really. For some reason the lighting's better back here and it's harder for you to see because it doesn't, I don't have a zoom, I don't think. But that's that. And I didn't put it on my hand spun page because I'm still trying to figure out how that exactly all works because I've never done that before. And I just figured out Ravelry like maybe 6 months ago after being a member for like ever. But yeah. So this is another one that I did, and this was just mainly a bunch of leftover yarns. My tie's coming undone. So this is some of the leftover gray that I used in here, and some of the leftover pinks and purples that I used in my New Orleans confetti whatever yarn. So I had applied it initially with this dark purple, and it made everything like super dark. Well, applying it with the gray made it look more pastel-y and stuff. So I found that to be pretty neat how that changed how it looked. So this was a lot of one ply was some of my first attempts at spinning. So it's not really consistent at all. But it's still pretty. I'm still happy with it. My lighting is not good at all right now. I don't know why. I think it's just because our house has not a lot of natural lighting. We don't have hardly any windows in this house. There's like one little teeny window in like every room. So there's not a lot of natural light. Maybe I'll just have to start recording outside eventually. And 90% humidity. 90 degrees, 90% humidity. It's coming soon. That's one. And I'll be using this to make, almost all these I'm using just to make little squares on my blanket, because what else am I going to do with a bunch of random little bitty things, right? I have that one. And then I don't remember if I showed you all the singles of this one, but it was like pinks and reds, and then I had like this white, and I applied those together. I'm just doing 2-ply right now too. So this looks really, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say right now. You see, it's got like pinks and purples and reds that I applied with the white. The colored yarn, it was pretty easy to apply, and I got pretty even with that. But the white, it almost felt like that first fiber I had, but not quite so sticky and icky and stuff. So it was easier to apply, but it wasn't as easy. So I don't know if that's maybe a certain type of fiber that it is, but I'm definitely having a hard time with that fiber getting it to be fairly consistent. But I still think it came out really pretty. So that's that one. And then my other little mini skein is this. And this is, I think it's called the Adian, something like that, ply, where you ply it on itself. So it's 2-plied on itself. So it looks, the colors look fairly consistent. And I actually did a fairly decent job. I have a big bump there. But I'm definitely seeing that I'm starting to get better at spinning the plies. More consistently. I definitely have my spots where, of course, there are huge bumps, but, you know, it's more practice, right? So all these will eventually go into my blanket. That's pretty much all I've spun up. This was the last thing that I spun up. I did it, I think, yesterday morning. This was my last little teeny bit. So now I'm getting into some of the bigger amounts of fiber that I got. I think that I showed y'all, did I show it last week or the week before? I don't remember. But I'm into the larger amounts now, so these little teeny bitty skeins are the thing of the past. Now I have to figure out how to do larger amounts. So I have that. And that, I think, literally is all the stuff that I've done crafty wise. Most of our time has been devoted to outdoor gardening, and then any time that I had left over, I was practicing my spinning or working on these socks, which I'm so happy these are done. I'm starting to really not like knitting up men's socks. Even though I like the idea of making the socks for my husband, I just put in the completion date this morning. It took me about a month to do these socks. Now granted, last week I basically worked almost exclusively on my star motif pullover, but still. Guys have such big feet. Look at that. His big feet, and then he likes his like super tall. Whatever. This is his last pair of socks for a while. I don't have any more yarn for him that I bought. All the yarn's for me now, pretty much, and Linus. So, I was reading on the boards a little bit about me, and if you haven't checked it out, it's called Fiber and Dice. What's her name? I'm going to say, is it Rebecca? No. No. Hold on. I'm going to look real quick. I am going to be really bad, and I'm going to look and see who it was. What's her real name? She's Engineers Falcon. Not that much. And Rebecca. Did I say Rebecca? I think I already did say Rebecca. So I remembered the name. That is so impressive. But She started a podcast. She's only on episode 3. It's called Fiber and Dice. She makes some really awesome knitted things, and she spins gorgeously. And she's also doing a board gaming section at the end of hers. But she also has organization, which I am not organized at all, ever. It just doesn't happen. I like to plan things, but I'm never organized. But we, just through the couple back and forth posts, we've discovered that we are both big Wheel of Time fans, which she realized from my username on BoardGameGeek, because Moraine is a character in the Wheel of Time series, which is like the best ever character ever. She is totally awesome. And I think it has a little something to do with the fact that she's of the Blue Aja, so she wears like blue clothes and everything. And blue's like my favorite color. So that might just be a little biased because of that. But she is definitely my favorite character in the book. So we were getting to talking, and I mentioned that I probably should start sharing some of the books that I'm reading. I am a very slow book reader to start off with. I'm a slow knitter. I read slowly, and I don't know why. It's just I guess I take my time. I'll literally read fairly slowly because I want to comprehend as much as possible. I don't want to just read it, and then sometimes I'll be like, no, wait, that didn't just happen, and I'll go back and I'll reread the whole page over again. Yeah. Or I'll sometimes read a chapter over again just because I'm like, wait, that happened? So that little insignificant little thing actually mattered, so I'll have to go back and read. Yeah. So, granted, I'm a slow reader, so you may be seeing, I'll just, whenever I'm reading a new book or whatever. I'm actually reading 2 books right now. I'll maybe talk to y'all about the other one. A piece of hair in my mouth. Yeah. Maybe next week, week after. But one of the books I'm reading, it's called World's End by Mark Chadbourne. And I'm almost finished. I'm right there. I got that much left. And I've been reading this book pretty much since our Oregon trip. I bought it at a used bookstore when we went up to Oregon, and I started reading it on the flight home, and I've been reading it ever since. So that shows you how slow I am at reading. And it's mainly because I can usually only get like 1 chapter in a day. So, if that. Sometimes I'm just way too tired and I can't even, because I usually will read like right before I go to bed. So, I'm already tired at 9 o'clock, and then I'm trying to read a chapter, and sometimes it'll take me almost an hour to read a chapter. For one, some of the chapters are kind of lengthy. At least they seem like that to me. Most of the books I read, the chapters are, let's see. Looks like about maybe 30 or 40 pages a piece. I'm big into sci-fi, fantasy books. Mainly fantasy, I guess. But this is my latest one. It is about the world's end, basically. There's 5 heroes that you find out throughout the book. They become new ones in there. You'll learn about it eventually in the book, but the heroes become, they're called Brothers and Sisters of the Dragon, which I might have to go back and re-look at things, because I think it may have explained it, but I'm not entirely sure. And the gist of the book, and it's a series, I don't remember, let's see, does it say? Looks like maybe 3 books, unless there's been more books printed since this version. But the world as we know it is basically ending, and all the technology eventually starts to not work, and we go back to kind of like the old ways, like old myths and stuff, and they incorporate all the different types of gods and goddesses and different religions and myths and all kinds of stuff. And we're basically going back to those old ways where, you have like earth magic and all this sort of stuff. So it's how they're transitioning into that. So that's what this first book is about, is basically like how it's starting to transition, and it's kind of starting to explain why the things are happening and who the gods really are and all kinds of stuff like that. So just thought I'd share that. I know a lot of podcasters have been starting to discuss their books, but just maybe want to do it since she seems like we have some of the similar tastes. So I shared this. I have the second book. I don't have the third book. But book 1 and 2 at the used bookstore in Oregon. So we bought a lot of books in Oregon. We went to a lot of bookstores. Our trip mainly consisted of going to bookstores and going to yarn stores. It was pretty fun. So, are you ready to log your plays with me after all that blabble? Blabble. I feel like I'm going to be Nuffle Bunny now, huh? We're going to discuss Drekon. Nate and I didn't get any board gaming in this week. Yeah, none, I don't think. Nate may have, I don't know. But it's Tom Jolly's Drekon. It says it's from 2 to 6 players, and it's very easily, I wouldn't play it with 2. You need at least 3 or 4 people to play it, in my opinion. But 6 players is just fine. The more people, the more things happen, pretty much. And it's a very simple game. Let's see, does it say the time limit on here? Let's see. It says 20 to 60 minutes. We usually play with 4 to 5 people, and it usually takes us maybe 30 minutes. I guess it just depends on how you play. We do tend to play a little aggressively. But, the people we play with are pretty heavy board gamers anyway, so. The basic gist of the game is, I'm getting all the stuff out, you are creating a dungeon with these little pieces. Your dungeon tiles. So you're creating a dungeon that you are trying to go and steal coins from the dragon. And each chamber you go to usually activates something. There are blank chambers. Let's see if I can find a blank one for you. Of course, I'm going to pull up every single one that has a special ability, because that's just going to be my luck, huh? Most of the chambers will have a special action. I'm pulling every single one. There we go. That's a blank chamber. So you're basically building the dungeon so you can go and hoard or steal from the dragon's gold. And here's your gold. The gold pieces, the numbers range from 1 to 3. And they're kept secret, so you basically pile these all up underneath by the dragon. And then when you get to a room that lets you get a coin, then you take a coin from the pile, and then you keep it hidden. The object of the game is to get 10 points in coins. So, 2 3s and 2 2s, you have 10 points, you win. We don't play it that way anymore, though. There are some variants that I may discuss in just a little bit. But basically, once you get to 10 points in gold, then you just say you win, pretty much. There are two things you do that you can do on your turn. You can either play a dungeon piece, or you can move your character. Now, your characters do not come painted. My husband did this, and he did not do a very good job. He should have let me do them. That's before we were married and stuff, but little adventurers, your little heroes. So, those are your heroes. So you can either move one into the next adjacent chamber or place a chamber. When you place a chamber, do you see these little red arrows? You can never place, whoops, wrong side, two chambers where the arrows go into each other. You can do it like this, you can do it like this, and you can even choose to do it like this if you want. Just never that. So you can place a chamber. When you move a character, you activate that chamber space, and you're moving through the arrows. So you move through the red arrow of the space that you're in. So if you're on this space and you're in here, you could move this way or you could move this way into the next chamber. If there's no chamber there, then you can't move. So you can get stuck. You can also run out of tiles to place to get you unstuck. But this is the cheat sheet of all the different chambers and what they do. So the chamber has this one. Once you step on it, you can destroy a chamber, and an unoccupied chamber. So you can't have another character on it. This is the dragon chamber, the Drakon chamber. The first time when this gets placed, the first tile of this that gets placed, right? Yeah. You put the dragon figure on any unoccupied space of the board. There's the dragon. And then when a person moves onto that space, they activate the dragon, and he moves up to 3 chambers. He ignores all arrows and everything. So he moves 3 chambers. Any way he wants to go. Okay, so this is a part that I just realized that we've been doing wrong for several years. If the dragon finishes his turn and lands, when the dragon finishes its turn on an occupied chamber, all those heroes go back to start and they lose a random coin. We played even if the dragon moved through the space that your hero is on. The dragon has to end its turn on the space with the heroes. If a hero moves through the dragon, which you can move more than one space if one of these tiles lets you, nothing happens. But if a hero ends their turn on a space with the dragon, which you may have to be forced to do that sometimes, then they go back to start and lose a coin. So that's that one. You have an escape. The escape is basically whenever you play that tile on the board, your hero, wherever it's at, moves with that chamber and goes wherever you put that chamber. So you can move to the complete opposite end of the dungeon if you want to. That one only activates when you place the tile, not when you enter the room. Those are very important. Find a coin. When you land on that space, you get a coin. The feather, when you enter that room, you get to move the tile to another part of the board. Let's see. Move the chamber to any empty space adjacent to another chamber already in play. So you just move it around. Lose a coin, you just lose a coin. Magic Harp. That one, if a Magic Harp is played, let's see. I'm not going to find the Magic Harp now, am I? Whoops. Oh, by the way, this is your start chamber. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm not finding a Magic Harp. But let's just say you had this tile and the Magic Harp was placed here on this side next to it. Once you enter this room, the only chamber you can go to next is into the chamber with the Magic Harp. You cannot exit out of this way. So that people tend to do that if another character has set up a kind of like a roundabout thing where they can just keep going around in circles and picking up coin after coin after coin after coin. So then you place a Magic Harp and disrupt their little coin engine. Magical Shift. You get an unoccupied chamber and replace it with one from your hand. So you can pick up a chamber that's unoccupied and put one from your hand down. So you can nab a good chamber if you want to put it by you. The map chamber, you get to take a random tile from another player's hand. So that's how you can lose all of your chambers. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you start with 4 chambers. Every time you lay a chamber down, you get to draw one from the draw pile. But if people have stolen all of your chambers, you don't get to draw any because you have none to place, and all you can do is move, and then you can get stuck because you can't get out. But yeah, so people can steal your chambers. I'll come back to the Master Key. Mind Control allows you to pick another player and move them to another chamber. You get to pick, you land on that space, you get to mind control another opponent's hero and move them 1 space. Rotate a chamber, basically you get in that chamber and then you can rotate another chamber, an unoccupied. No. It can be any chamber, as long as the arrows don't go into each other. So you have steal a coin clockwise and counterclockwise. So that's basically just take a coin from player to your left or right. Strong Wind allows you to move 2 chambers at a time. So you pass through one chamber, you don't do any action in that chamber, and then you go straight to the next chamber that you want to go to. And then whatever chamber you end on, that's the action that you take. So when you go into that chamber, you basically don't get that action until your next turn, because then you move 2 spaces next turn. Teleport, you go in that chamber, your next turn, you can move to any chamber on the board. So let me go back to Master Key. Master Key allows you to go and ignore basically the arrows. You can go out of any side of a Master Key. So it's basically they have 4 doorways. So you can move against the arrows. So those are good for if you have a lot of you have like a coin, steal a coin, or some good ones that you want to just drop that right down the middle, and you can go out of the Master Key chamber into steal a coin, and then the arrow is pointing back into the Master Key chamber. So you can go from get a coin back into the Master Key, so that your next turn you can go right back to the coin. So that's pretty much all the spaces. game ends when you hit 10 coins. Some of the variants. Let's see. I don't know all of them. There is one variant where your heroes have special powers, which you get these little tokens for, and I think each hero has one, so you get to use it maybe, is it once? So you have to give this up, and then you've used your special thing. I think I think when we play that way, I don't think we use these. I think we just deal out some just little rocks so that we can do it twice instead of once. Because just one time sometimes it's a little bit better if you can do it twice. But we don't play that way very often. Another way you can play is you have to escape from the lair after you get your 10 coins, your 10 points in coins. So the way you do that is after you get that amount of coins, you either have to make it to a teleport or an escape chamber. So that's one of the reasons why the escape chambers are really important for us, is because we always play that way now. It's just always too easy to get the 10 coins for us and then just say, oh, we won. We just made it a little more difficult for ourselves. So you can hold the escape chamber, and then on your turn you just play that down, and you're there, and you're like, I escaped the lair, the dungeon, and I have my 10 coins, so I win. There's also a team play, which we've never played that before, so I don't even know how it works. I'm not going to read it. And then there's also one for fixed gold, where instead of collecting 10 points in gold, it's the first player to collect 5 coins. So you ignore the 1, 2, and 3 and just have to get 5 coins. And you can do that with the escape one if you want. But that is pretty much how you play. It's fairly easy game. It's very fun. It's definitely an old standby for us. I think we've played it out for a while, so we don't play it too often anymore, except for when I guess it just depends on the people we're playing with. Nate's family really like it, so we do tend to play it, but we tend to really like, oh, let's get the dragon out and just start killing everybody. But it's really fun. So I think that's all I have for you today. So I'm going to be telling you bye, and go check out the Ravelry group and join our craft along. I think that might be it. Oh, and if you're wanting to join on the Mystic Spiral Socks, go check out Josh Rick's Sort of a Knitter podcast group on Ravelry, and you can get in the fun over there. So, and also check out Fiber and Dice, because if you're watching this part of the show, then apparently you like board games. So go check out hers, because she does different board games than I do. I haven't heard of hers before. Well, I've heard of some of them. But, yeah. So that's all. So bye, friends. Hope you have a good week and a happy Mother's Day.